So today I have a battle for you from my buddy Elo at our tournament that we had at the Society of Pokemon Masters, a group that meets weekly at the University of Washington. For this match, I had just started to learn NU, so I came up with a team that was alright, I thought, and I had a really good match. You have Typhlosion and Heliolisk, who are my sweepers, my Swellow, which is my revenge sweeper, my Girder, which is more of a, I would call it a mixed pivot, because it has Eviolite, and I boosted both his defenses and special defenses. And then you're left with Miss Magius, which is kind of a special pivot slash anti-lead in a sense. And you also have Avalugg, who's also my physical pivot and also my spinner. So then I'm looking at Elo's team, and I've encountered most of these Pokemon. The two Pokemon that I haven't seen a lot of were Scyther and Prinplup. Looking at that, I was like, I feel safest going with my Typhlosion first, because my Typhlosion has enough of coverage to go okay against this team. It has Focus Blast, Flamethrower, Eruption, and Extra Sensory. So I felt like I was okay going with that, and I really didn't know what to expect from the rest of his team. I did know that his Regice was a special wall, and so we're going to go into the match. And of course I leave with my Typhlosion here, but as you're going to see, he did the right thing, and I was behind the 8-ball maybe from the beginning of this match by him starting out with his Prinplup. Now, I didn't know what to expect from Prinplup when I saw it in team preview, but at this point I'm like, you're going to be sending out Stealth Rocks. You wouldn't send out someone first without those rocks. And I send in my Avalugg because he's my spinner, and I'm like, if you're going to send in Stealth Rocks, I'd rather be proactive about it than waiting you to do its thing, because Eruption and my Swellow really like to not have rocks out. So you gotta have a spinner on a team like this. So knowing that he has low special defense, I know Avalugg isn't gonna take the Scald really well, but given that it has a lot of HP, it's not actually too bad. And I get to spin him out of there, and we do a little bit of this spin, Stealth Rock spin, Stealth Rocks dance for a good portion of this match. So then I get Ottoman out of there, and I bring in my Heliolisk, because of course I want him to do Scald. I don't take any damage from Scald, and if I did that, I gain the upper hand. Of course he's like, no, come on, I'm better than that, Chaz, you know this. And I'm like, alright, Eric. He sends out his Stealth Rocks again. I'm like, I'm gonna have to find a way to pivot back in my Avalugg. It's gonna take a little bit of damage, but I gotta make sure I can recover it off and take a hit pretty well. So now I see that I need to do something neutral. I didn't want to use Thunderbolt because too many things resisted, and it wasn't a really strong attack, so I decided to do Focus Blast. One thing to do to try to get his Regice out there, because I know that's his special wall. And I do another Focus Blast. I'm like, fingers crossed, don't let it miss. And it doesn't miss, so I get to take out a huge threat there that I wasn't quite sure of what it was going to do. I'd heard inklings of what it did during the tournament, but thankfully its main strategy was something I wasn't implementing that it could go against, but it was still a good Pokemon nonetheless. So now he turns out it's Typhlosion, and I love about Heliolisk that it can carry Surf, and I thought the Surf was going to knock it out for sure, but it doesn't. He hangs on with a little sliver, and he does a good enough damage with this Extra Sensory that it's going to make me think about switching Heliolisk in a little bit later, which we'll see. But I use a Thunderbolt just to take him out, because at this point, if he brings in anybody, it's neutral damage or super effective damage, so I'm not terribly worried about that, and it gets stabbed. So then, who he brings in next is his Scyther, and I'm like, Scyther's fast. I wasn't sure of Scyther's base speed. I know it's 105 now, but back then I was like, I'm switching out, but I thought it would be faster, and it wasn't the wrong switch out because he does quick attack, and I had no priority moves on my Heliolisk anyway, and there wasn't going to be a priority move that was going to take him out, so I feel as though that I was okay in doing that. And I just want to take the hit from his physical move, spin it out of there after getting recovered with Avalugg, because again, don't want rocks out. Two of my core Pokemon on my team do not like rocks, so gotta play this game. But you know, Eric knows this too, so he's gonna bring back in his rocks guy and says, yep, I'm prepared for you to spin those things out. I'm gonna bring them back in by any means necessary. Alright, I'm like, alright, how am I gonna have to play this? Because this one was actually a little bit harder than I thought it would be. So I switch out thinking that he's going to do Scald once again, but he switches out back to his Scyther, and I'm like, this guy is in my head. I am not making the right plays right now. I need to step up my game a little bit. Because at this point, I wanted to bring in my Girder to get a Skull, to get the Burn, Guts boosts, Eviolite, just Wreck House, doing Drain Punch, Mach Punch, Drain Punch, Mach Punch, right? It's a thing. So then I have to bring my Ottoman back in because I'm like, I don't want to get hit by a quick attack or a flying type move like Aerial Ace. Well, I didn't expect Aerial Ace, but I should have because Technician boosted and all that. But I just didn't want him to take such a hit because I didn't know if he could live it or not. But I knew my Ottoman could live it because he's boss hogging it. Now, part of me here thinks, should I have done Avalanche as one of my moves? Because I didn't know why he would be bringing out his Zatu. But of course, I got to get rid of the rocks. So I don't want to keep rocks in there and do Avalanche to try to read something. I was too worried about two of my teammates being like, I can't come in here and do the things I'm supposed to because these rocks are hitting me in my face. But then he does Heat Wave, which I know Zatu can learn, but I completely forgot and thought he was going to do a Psychic, which wasn't going to do enough damage to him, so I could Avalanche it and knock it out, but I was severely wrong, and this is where I have to think a little bit harder about my matches. Now, here's another brain fart. I send in my Typhlosion because I'm like, he's speedy, he's fast, gotta do the Eruption, completely forgetting about that he has a Prinplup, and Prinplup's second evolution, so he's gotta be Eviolite, which means this Eruption isn't going to do very much. And it puts me on the defensive again, but I know this time that he actually has to send out the rocks, so I feel like I send in this one again so I can Thunderbolt it, hopefully. But maybe I was thinking I should have just brought in my Swellow at that point and tried to get a lot of physical hits out with him being faster. But I brought him in because, again, Scald, I thought that might have been a thing against my Fire type, but should have known that he wasn't going to do that. So then I just do Thunderbolts because I know they're super effective and I'm faster and I shouldn't have any worry. Maybe he thought I was going to do some sort of defensive move that he could knock it back to me. And I do believe that critical hit mattered a little bit. He might have had to inspect to survive things like that, but for the most part, I believe he could take it out in one hit. Now, here, he brings in a Scyther, and I'm like, alright, I can't switch out because rocks are up. If I just switch out and bring it back in, I'm going to lose it. So I might as well just sack him. He did a great job in this match, did solid damage against everybody that he went up against. And I bring in my Swellow. So this was another part of the match where I played it maybe a little bit too safe. Here, I protect, of course, because I want to get my Burn Orb or my Flame Orb off, and then that'll allow me to get Guts off. So at this point, I'm like, should I Facade? Should I Brave Bird? I know he's going to quick attack me, but will that knock me out? I wasn't sure. He quick attacks me because I had a little bit of HP knocked off from Stealth Rock, but it doesn't, so I might have been able to almost OHKO it with a Facade. I won't know, but I did 2 hits of quick attack because I was really nervous about that knocking me out, and maybe next time I know that, I don't know if that was a low roll. It's just one of those things that I've got to calc for next time. But it's good to know that I understand where I went in this match and why I did those things. So I bring in Girder because I'm like, Girder, you're beefy, you got defense, you got this. And I'm going to do Ice Punch because if I do a fighting type move, it's going to be double not very effective against that Scyther. And that's not going to be a very good thing. So Ice Punch is probably the best thing I can do. Maybe I could have knocked off something, but I didn't know what he was going to bring in. So with his heal list here, I'm just like, I'm going to stay in, take the Thunderbolt because I have the Eviolite, get the Drain Punch, get some life back, hopefully knock him out, which I do, and that makes me really happy. So I feel like I'm in a good place with Girder. I feel like he has enough bulk and enough HP to survive pretty much anything that's going to come against him in this match. But as we see soon, I was surely mistaken. So, of course, his Scyther comes in and does an Aerial Ace. And I'm like, yeah, you can beast this. Nope, I don't think so. And it just gets knocked out. So I'm like, yep, back to the yard with you, Girder. I'm like, ugh. So at this point, I'm like, you're fast. I got to do something. And I knew rocks were coming in. And again, I couldn't do Focus Blast because that wasn't going to do very much. And I could have done extra sensory, but that's non-stab and it has really low base power anyway. So, gotta use Flamethrower, gotta get the stab somehow, gotta do something that's gonna happen. But I knew at this point he's gonna switch in his Prinplup. But I get a critical hit and I get a burn. It's like the trifecta of awesome. So, I feel like, I might have something here. So then I just keep going. I'm gonna expect a Scald from him just to get knocked out. And I'm like, well, with my last Pokemon, I hope I can just sweep through, maybe do just enough damage that his Eviolite won't matter at that point. But he Toxics me because he actually didn't remember that my Heliolisk wasn't alive. Because normally I would bring in my Heliolisk and have to take the Scald, but both my Heliolisk was actually at really low life. And also, it would have knocked me out at Stealth Rocks if I had switched out and tried to bring it back in, so I just sacked it earlier. So I get one more Flamethrower off, and then basically this leads to a double down between us two. And I really like this battle because it feels like Gen 4 rivals, or not Gen 4, sorry, Gen 4, Gen 2 rivals in a sense. Just having, you know, my fully evolved Pokemon versus his not fully evolved Pokemon, but it's still being strong like it was the TV show. Like, am I facing Ash or something? I don't know. That could have been a thing. But then we come down to our last Pokemon, which is my Miss Magius and his Scyther, right? So I'm protected from the Quick Attack being a Ghost type, but I'm like, who is faster in this case? I didn't know. But after the match, we realized that we both have the same base speeds. We're both boosted in speed natures, and we have all the right IVs. So it came down to a speed tie, which I was very happy to go down to that because Eric played that game very well. He made all the right plays, and I had a lot of missteps that led me to being in the position I was, and I could have been a little bit more bolder, and I might have been able to win that match, but it was a great learning experience and a great tournament overall, and a great first video to show you guys. You should expect more content like that every Sunday, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to have a different team every month, and I'm going to talk about that team every month in its own individual video, like how I came up with it, why I decided to use these Pokemon together in their attacks, so you can learn from me and maybe even use it yourself. And I just want to learn how you guys do it as well. So I'll see you guys next time, and you guys happy battling. Peace.